What's up, everybody? This is Jesse Lee coming to you with another exciting case study. This is all about how the musical group the Floriani made $23,526 in 1 week using my product launch framework. So if you're looking to launch a product, whether it's a musical product or if you're doing an online course or whatever it is, this is the case study for you. This is going to give you the exact framework that you're going to need to know for success. It's going to give you all the tactics for crafting a compelling launch, right? I'm going to give you everything you need, but before we start, I want to actually show you proof that I did this, all right? So we're going to go over to, like my slide, proof. We're going to go over to Klaviyo right now, and I'm going to show you in the dashboard. We did this launch from May 21st to May 28th. We did $23,526, as you can see. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started, right? So I want to give you all of the basically everything you need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete my face here in a moment, but the launch framework is going to be down below this. You'll be able to download it if you're on YouTube or whatever platform. I'll put a link to where you can download it, and if you're on my website, you'll see the download button somewhere on this page, probably below. So make sure to do that to be able to actually follow along. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I want to introduce you to the Floriani, the musical group. So let me go ahead and show you who the Floriani is. I'm going to go to their Instagram right now, instagram.com/Floriani Sacred Music. This is a choir, really good choir. So this is their account. This is them. There's 4 guys in here, really, really good voices, amazing voices. They hit their stride. They've got about 95,000 followers, going on 96. When they came to me, it was about 93,000, right? So they also have a good YouTube following of maybe 40,000 people. So we were using their social accounts to do their product launch announcements too, all right? So that's the Floriani. We had a great time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post the interview down below on somewhere, either link below or on this page if you're on my website, so you can see for yourself. They're going to tell you about their entire experience. All right. But in terms of the strategy, so timing is everything in the strategy. And this was a 7-day launch when we opened up enrollment for, and I'm going to talk about the product we launched. It was a CD called The Chance of Deliverance. It's this here. This is the thing they were launching. We did a 7-day launch, and I'm going to show you, this is the page now, but we've updated it since the launch. So I'm going to show you the differences between the two of when we did our first 7-day launch. Timing is everything on this. It's partly the short launch that gives it such a propelling quality when you, and it has a lot of impact when you put a deadline on things. All right, so what were the goals for this launch? Well, the Floriani, they had never done a launch like this before. I've done them before, but they had never gone through this process. So for them, they just wanted to see, okay, can we actually do this, right? Because it's a decent lift, right? And my goal for them was to also build their email list, right? They had a giant social following, but they didn't realize how important an email list was, which is why I have these capitalized, build email list. This was one of the steps that I wanted to build for them. Thankfully, we built their email list from about 3,000 to now they have about 8,000. So it's increased quite a bit since I've been on board. And then the next thing is, because they're a choir, we knew that they had a slightly older audience, right? If you look at the comments on some of their things, it's on Instagram. They also have a decent YouTube and Facebook following. They have a younger audience, but they also have a skewed older audience because of just the type of music, right? So if you're doing this, you may not want to sell CDs, but because you're doing more, music that's associated with more traditional or classical, sacred, what they call sacred music, polyphony and things like that, Baroque music. Older audiences tend to appreciate that, and so we knew that CDs might be an option, and we also wanted to test, okay, how would digital downloads sell? So that was the other goal for this, is to test this out and see what's going to do better. And then the bottom line goal was revenue. Obviously, we all want to make revenue when we do these launches. That's the whole reason we do them. All right. So the launch process, I'm going to go over these in depth, but in a moment, I'm going to show you all these frameworks for how to do your launches, about where you're getting traffic from. All right. So let me just, before I jump into these diagrams, I want to explain to you the actual process though. Okay, so the first thing we wanted to do, These guys didn't have anything to build their email list, and so I helped them create what we call in the business a lead magnet. I'm going to show you exactly what that lead magnet page looks like in just a moment here. I'm going to show you all these pages. I've got those ready to go over here. All right. And then the next thing we did is we did a launch primer announcement, which was to their current list. This was partly to their email list, right? We notified everyone on their current email list, but we also notified everyone on their social platforms. So Instagram, YouTube, things like that. And then we did the actual pre-launch, right? So the launch primer is to build your early adopter list. And this is where you just announce to people that you're going to be releasing something soon. And you drop little hints about it. And this happens about, just to give you a timeline, this normally happens 2 to 4 weeks before your main launch. So you pick a launch date, you want to launch something, back it up by something like 4 weeks, and that's normally when you start the launch primer, right? As far as timeline, this creating a lead magnet, I'll show you in a moment. This is something that gets done all the time. You never stop this. So you put this live and people are joining your list all the time as long as you keep on pushing people over to your site. All right. So that doesn't, that's done all the time. It's evergreen. Should be happening perpetually. So we don't have that as associated with a specific date in this launch. Whereas the launch primer, again, that's 2 to 4 weeks before your actual launch. And then the pre-launch happens 1 to 2 weeks before that. Before the launch day, right? And this is where you actually excite the audience by giving them more of a taste. At this point, you probably have more, photos of what you want to release. You probably have more, behind the stage looks. For Floriani, they had some cool footage of recording and different things like that, and they had some really good things to go along with that. And then we launched for 1 week, right? 7 days. You can actually do 10 or 14 days. But the real power in these is that you have that deadline. So I tend not to do anything more than 14 days. You can experiment with that, but I've had the best results with my 7 to 10 day launch. And then we close up shop at the end. And there's some tactics you need to close up shop the right way so that people aren't left discouraged. You don't want to discourage people that they missed out. And so there's some ways you can scoop them up and create value for them. All right. So let me go into each one of these into the diagrams. So for the primer, for the lead magnet. So what is a lead magnet? It's basically something that you create that you can exchange people for a way to contact them. And the most common way is through email. You can also do text message, but those are the primary channels. Email is sort of the easiest barrier to entry, and that's most internet revenue now that comes from lifecycle marketing comes from email marketing, right? So, So what we did is we knew we wanted to make a lead magnet that was congruent with all the people who were going to be possibly purchasing this CD, right? So that we knew they were listeners. If you look at their comments though on their social channels, we also know they had some choir directors as well, some people who actually taught choir for a living or did it professionally. Maybe they sang in a professional choir. And so we had some goodies for them as well during the launch, but we knew that this lead magnet needed to be something that was congruent with listeners. And so here's what we did is we created a compilation of 10 tracks. These were things that Floriani already had on hand. And so it was really easy to create all of this for me because I just had to ask them, hey, what do you kind of have out in the ether that I can kind of compile and make a nice looking, what we call an opt-in page. This is an opt-in page because you're opting into email marketing. And so so they gave me these 10 tracks that they were, strewn about. They were on YouTube, a little bit on Spotify, some on, just kind of around, right? And they were, posted around for free, but they weren't curated in one place. So what I did is I ripped all the audio. We got the 10 tracks and we compiled them into this sort of, exactly what it says, an exclusive collection, right? So they opt in here, they'll be able to get these 10 free tracks, download them right away. And notice we're not going through Spotify. We have yet to launch their Spotify. I didn't mention that at the beginning, but the $23,000 was all off of sales on their online store. It had nothing to do with music streaming. It was all physical CDs or digital downloads that they purchased directly from the site. So if you want, you can feel free to rip this format. Obviously, don't plagiarize. But if you look at what I did here, I built this nice opt-in page with, I tell them what's inside. I say 10 free tracks. Well, I've got the list here so that they know exactly what they're getting into. They have a sample to listen to one. And we get quite a few. Again, just from this, I built their email list from 3,000. Multiple of thousands of people have gone through this at this point. So yeah, there's that. So that's the first. That's just building the email list. This one we have always active all the time. All right. So then when we got to the launch, we had to do the primer, right? So the primer happens 2 weeks. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention your traffic, right? If you have an email list, you can start emailing people about this. Initially, if you don't, you're going to have to use the traffic sources that fit best for you. So if you have Twitter, you can do that. Well, what is now X, it's not Twitter any longer, but YouTube, Instagram. So wherever your following is, this is going to be where you want to post notifications, right? So you're going to use in tandem all of your popular, social channels along with building your email list through this entire process, right? So now for the primer, you then announce to okay, when people get on your email list here, they get put in a bucket, right? And so when you go to the next step, you have this email that gets sent to them notifying them, hey, we created our early adopter page for this thing we're going to launch. So in Floriani's case, it was an early adopter page that says, hey, we're going to launch our album upcoming. So if you want to get on that, get on the specific list. That way we're emailing you specific notifications about this, where this lead magnet capture, when they get put in here, is sort of a general catch-all for just newsletter kind of stuff. This list, now you're segmenting people down into just the people who really want to hear about the album launch, right? So you can start marketing specifically to the people on this list. This gets a welcome email as soon as people opt in, right? So we had people go from, we posted about this on YouTube, we posted about this on Instagram, we also emailed their current list, and we ended up building an early adopter list of about, I'd say, for this first launch, I think it was about 800. And then as soon as people opted in, they just got sent a message that says, you've been added to the list, and we actually had another little message that says, please check your email to make sure you got added. And this email was just sent out to say, hey, we've added you to the list. Keep an eye out on the dates. We didn't give anything specific here. We didn't say exactly what was going to be included because we knew we wanted to do some bonuses. And we didn't give any specific dates, right? Now, the step 2, the pre-launch, this is a little bit more complex, but I'm going to show you this. This is if you're doing something like an online course. But here, the pre-launch, we actually announced specific dates, right? We actually announced the specific launch dates. So this is the one that it happened about 2 weeks before the official launch day, right? So we sent an email out to everyone saying, hey, in 2 weeks, we're going to be launching our album. If you have not yet got on this email list, the early adopter list, do that, because those are you're going to get first access there. And then we also put that same message out to their YouTube. And by the way, we did this with videos as well as shorts. And then Instagram, we did the same thing with stories, posts, all the different things, right? So we were constantly trying to push people over to this early adopter list, even people on their own email lists, right? So they get put on their own early adopter, and this is the list we end up pitching to when we do our launch, which is the next step, all right? So the next step that we did, step 3, this is what Jeff Walker calls the open cart. This is launch day, whatever you want to call it, liftoff, whatever. I got a couple different options I'll show you here. This one is a little more appropriate for e-commerce and albums. So we had an album page. Oh, by the way, I forgot to show you the early adopter list. Let me show you that real quick. Let me go back. So if you remember, this is our wait list, this is our lead magnet. The early adopter list kind of has similar elements on the page. It has slightly different structure, but basically, this is now the wait list, but you can see this word, it says again here. But when we first had this live, we had this be the first to know when chance of deliverance, the physical CD is available. And then we didn't have this word again. So it was just, that was the early adopter list. Now, since we've unpublished we closed down the launch after that 7 days for the physical CD. We're starting to build another wait list, and I'll show you how this fits into that. This has to do with that last step that I was telling you about, giving people a reason to stick around. Yeah, okay. So let me go on to the next. So that's the wait list or the early adopter list. They're sort of interchangeable, but early adopter, I normally refer to an early adopter if it's before I've ever launched a product. And then once I've launched it and I have it out there, then I call this a wait list. But the two are sort of synonymous. So if you hear me kind of go back and forth between those, that's why. Okay, now, all right, so here we go. Let's see. So then we launched, right? And the launch, we just did, we sent to people's email, and we sent to their Instagram, and we also posted to YouTube. And so we did this. We sent directly to the product page. There is a couple little order pages in here, but the main funnel is like we just sent them to the order page. Now, if you have some sort of info product or you have some sort of promotional video, you can also do something like this, where you actually send them to a video sales page. This is what I did on another launch called the Gregorian Chant Academy, which is sort of a subsidiary of these guys. So I'll put this case study as well. If you want to see how we did that, you'll be able to find that on my site. So just look around for that if you're on my site. If you're not on my site, go click over there and you'll be able to find the case study where we actually utilized the video sales page. So that's what we did. But for this particular launch, we're launching a CD. We didn't have any video footage associated with it. So we just sent people straight to the product page, and then they went to order, and then at the end, they got a thank you message and the download, right? So let me show you what those look like. So that sales page looked like this. Now I'm in the back end of our Wix editor here. This page is not live. It's unpublished because our launch ended. Obviously, it's later than May 28th, 2024. But this is what the product page looked like. Very high converting. At some point, if somebody comments on this video and they want to know how to do a high converting product landing page for an e-commerce or a product like this, I can walk you through that. I'm not going to make that tutorial until somebody asks though. But we had our headline. We have obviously a picture of the product. We have some social proof of this would be a testimonial that you put there. We have the product description. And then here we let people know, look, this launch is only for 1 week. So we told them after 11:59 p.m. on May 28th, the price of the digital download will be increased to $15. So if you look at here, it's just 10. If you were to click on this, it goes to a $10 album, right? Actually, both these link to a product block below. I'll show you in a moment. But this is 10, and then the CD is 20, right? So here we say, okay, well, on May 28th at 11:59 is the cutoff. The digital price is going to increase, and then the physical CD is not going to be available anymore. And by the way, we did this all as a pre-order. You'll notice this says pre-order, not order. So what we did is we actually sold a bunch of copies of CDs before we ever printed off and shipped them. So this is awesome. That $23,000 that we made, we actually made that before we ever printed a single CD. That's the other beautiful thing about these launches, is that you actually do the work to build the product after you've sold, right? So anyway, so if you're to hit either of these link down to the pricing block below. And you'll see here, there's the digital download for $10. And then we also, one of the challenges we had, which I'll talk about in a little bit, was pricing. People, this is a good thing, right? It's not a bad thing, but they wanted to be able to purchase more options. So we had the $20 for the CD and the digital download. And then we also created some discounts for bulk orders, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Now, because we knew we had some choir directors in here, that for whatever your niche is, you do want to include some bonuses. So, and they want to be you want them to be bonuses that are really, how do I say this? They're congruent with whatever your audience is looking for, right? So we knew that some of our people really wanted to learn how to sing. Again, I know that from all the markets research we've done, is that a lot of their crowd is singers, right? So we knew we wanted to give something valuable as like a free add-on. So if they purchase this, they actually get the music for every single track on this CD, which is pretty awesome. And then we had a bunch of FAQs down here. So that's what the product page looked like. Might be able to take a screenshot of this so you can see it, but yeah, because this is not public at the moment, I can't share the URL. So I'll see what I can do to get you guys, a copy of this without having to share the public link. Okay, now, so that's what the product page looked like. This is what we did for the launch, and what we did during that launch is we did the open cart, mid cart, and closed cart campaign. So for the rest of the time, this is day 1. This is on May 21st. And then we sent an email, a follow-up email reminding people again on May, it was that Friday that week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I believe it was May 24th, right? 24th or 25th when we sent this. It was basically halfway through the launch, like 4 days in. We sent another email that said, hey, just to remind you, this is live. And we also posted on Instagram and YouTube. And you do that because not everyone gets the first email the first time around when you do the open cart. Some people miss, and so you'll see the spike of sales in the middle. And then on the last day, right, so that's a mid cart. And then the last day, we did the closed cart announcement. And for this, you actually can email multiple times. So I have 9 a.m., 3 p.m., and 6 p.m. here. These can vary a little bit, and we actually didn't email at 3 p.m., but we did a morning email and a night email. And we sent them, we actually didn't send them to a video page. We sent them to this course sorry, I have course labeled on here. That should, product purchase page. I should not say course. So this works for courses though. That's why I have that. So I use the same diagram for people who are selling courses. So basically what you do is you tell people. Now, what do you notice about this? Well, we didn't launch to YouTube. And the reason is, if we're trying to get people over for the same day, I've noticed with YouTube, it normally takes a good 1 to 3 days for people really to start seeing your messaging, whatever you post on YouTube. And so we didn't think it would be worth it because we thought, okay, by the time they hit this, by the time they see the video and then go check it out, it could be totally gone. So we just focused on Instagram and then 2 of these emails to give some urgency. And this last email really hit the urgency. It was basically like, hey, there's only a few hours left. There's only 6 hours left. You got to go purchase now if you want to get this physical product. So it sold really well. We sold about 500 CDs and I think 500, maybe 700 digital copies. Or maybe it was the opposite. Maybe it was 7 and 500. Either way, we had about 1,100 or 1,200 sales throughout this entire process. So yeah, and so let me show you. Oh, by the way, this is the other thing I wanted to mention. The wait list here. You'll notice I have this redirected to wait list. When your timer cuts off, it's really important that you just don't unpublish the page. Otherwise, all these people who see this messaging, as well as anybody from prior emails that you've done or YouTube videos, they're going to get a 404 error, which is probably the worst thing you could do for your website health. So what you want to make sure is once you're done with this, instead of linking the order to the product page, or you can actually you can go in and paste the new waitlist URL. And so what we did is let me show you how we dealt with this transition. So if you remember, this page you could purchase right away, right? But once this hit at 11:59, we replaced this page with a different page, and the different page looks like this. So now you'll notice we have 2 options. It's a very similar product page, but now the urgency is gone because we're no longer selling the physical CD. All they have is the ability to get the digital download. And so they can go get the digital download here. But if they want to get the physical CD, what they'll have to do is actually, this has happened a couple times. Come on. So they'll have to go down, and you'll see this product block here. They could either buy now they have the digital album ability to purchase here, and then the other album, the physical CD, we actually put a little announcement that says, hey, this is currently unavailable, but we hope to relaunch in the fall of 2024. So this launch is coming up again. and they have the ability to join the wait list here. So that's how we dealt with this. And then once they hit the join the wait list, they go back to this wait list, right? So this is really cool because all the promoting you do ends up building this wait list after there's a cutoff. So remember I told you the first early adopter list, which is pretty similar to this, that was 800 people. But since we've been doing this, had this wait list up, we also have this, by the way, if you look at our, let me go back to the website. Let's see, Floriani. Let me just go to the main site and see if I can navigate around. So if you go to the main site and then you go to their music library, right? So here you see, okay, we do have the digital download, but we also have the ability to join the waitlist here. So if you click here, it also leads to this page. So we rerouted this a couple ways for if people got to that offer and it wasn't there anymore, we made sure they didn't hit a 404. And we made sure to offer them the ability to get on the wait list for the next time we do the launch. And the cool thing about that is since we've done that, we've actually built up an email list for launching that is even bigger than the last one. Remember, the last one was only 800 people. If you come to this, it's this one here, COD Fall 2024 waitlist. We now have 1,500 people that are waiting to buy this. So we made $23,000 before. This is going to do even better. This is going to crush. We're going to do even more money on the next launch. So that's the other thing about if you have this properly planned out, that when people hit this page and you guys shut off the ability to purchase, you redirect them to that wait list, it starts building a really good sized wait list for your next launch, right? And that deadline is part of the magic that actually gets people to act. There's a book called Influence by Robert Cialdini that talks about the effect that urgency has on buyer behavior. And so we always try to include that hard deadline. We put it all over our emails. We put it all over our, any text messages or any posts that we do. And then all over the landing page as well, we make sure people know there's a cutoff date because we want to get them, we want to basically force their hand to act if they're actually interested in us, because most people won't act unless they're forced to. So, yeah, all right, cool. So I hope that, is clear to you. So let's go over the framework again so that you can just kind of get the overarching view again. Hopefully this all should make more sense. So the first thing we did was we created a lead magnet to slowly build the email list. And then after we built that up for a while, we did a launch primer announcing our album to build that early adopter list. Then we did our pre-launch campaign to excite the audience. This is about 1 to 2 weeks before. And then we launched for 1 week, and we emailed on day 1. We emailed on day 4, which you can put it anywhere in there. You can do it on day 3, day 4. If you can find a way to email on like a Tuesday or Thursday, I like doing that because that tends to get the best results. And then we emailed on the last day multiple times, right? And then we closed up shop and redirected people to that wait list. So that's all what led to this insanely great launch, where now we have a launch list that's actually bigger than before, and our next launch is going to be even more successful because of that. So really, really excited for you to get started on your own product launch. And yeah, with that, again, well, let's chat before we move on. Let's talk about some challenges. Again, there were technical platform issues, so just know that this is something that will always happen no matter what you're doing. I've found that, you're always going to have those, and it's okay. Just make sure to take account, and then each time you do your launch, you get better and better at launching, and the technical issues clear up. So you got to have a good support ticket queue for your customers. Make sure they can reach you via email, or if you're using phone. I'm not a fan of phone, but some sort of support line that they can reach out to if they're having trouble. And then remember I mentioned payment issues. This was actually a good problem to have, but if you look at the product page, we had a ton of people that wanted to do multiple orders. So that's how we had to do this on the fly. Before, we just had these 2 pricing options. And then 2 days in, we're like, oh man, we actually have to get these other ones live as soon as possible. And because we did this, we probably sold an additional, I think, $5,000 just for providing these extra options. So this is something that is really, really powerful. When you go through your launches, and people are asking for specific things or features, if you can edit it in a way where you get those out the door, people really love you. Your customers get the message that you're really trying to take care of them. So any challenges, just remember when you go to do your own launches, you can turn those challenges into benefits for your brand if you think about them in the right light. All right. So as I mentioned, the incredible results. We're not going to do a deep dive, mostly because I don't have this. I want to show you that revenue again, the $23,000. Unfortunately, well, all of the metrics are actually in MailChimp because we were transitioning from MailChimp when we did this launch. So if you look at the launch date again, you'll see, the launch revenue, you'll see that Klaviyo was synced with our Stripe platform. So you're seeing this 23,000, but we don't have any exact metrics on the email and what that did because we were actually still using MailChimp at the time and had not transitioned over completely. This is when we just started the integration. So all those stats are in MailChimp. Now, if you want to see how email performs when you do these launches, I want you to go check out another case study of mine, and it's on the it's with Chris Jasper. It's on my site. You should be able to find the email below. But we just did a launch this last 30 days, and we did literally $72,000 in the last 30 days. 65 of that was in one single launch. And you'll notice that when we did the emails, it was more than, we had 62% of our revenue come specifically from email. So this is why when you go back to our launch framework, let me go back, right? We create that lead magnet to build that email list. This is exactly why, because email freaking crushes it so hard. So just know that when you do this, if you do it the right way, it just works so well. So go check out that other case study. Again, it's with Chris Jasper. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so if you go here, jesselee.io, this URL, this is just a temporary URL for the time being, just because I don't have a full brand associated with my site. But if you go to whatever it is, I'm going to leave the link in the description. And this is that other case study where you can see even more in depth. And then there's the full interview with Chris here. And then as just in the same way, Chris's interview is here if you want to look at that. I also want to let you know that I'm going to put the full interview with Floriani down below this as well. So if you're on YouTube or if you're on X or wherever this video is posted, you should be able to find a link to that. It's going to be on the same page as this case study. And if you're on this page, just scroll down a little bit and you'll be able to see that. Okay? So with that, and don't forget to download your free launch framework. That's going to help you in planning your own launch. And if you really want to get good results, here's my final CTA to you. If you want to get results like this, I love doing this, so please schedule a free discovery call with me. Just click the link below and you'll be able to learn how to do that. I do this stuff all the time. I love doing product launches. It's my superpower. So if you want to make 60 or 80 or 100 grand in one single launch, or maybe you're starting out and you're smaller than Floriani, but if you have an audience of maybe 98, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, this launch 100% would work for you. So definitely reach out to me and we can get started with that. So, all right, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'll talk to you soon.